Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and a massive problem facing Ethereum, and that is the cost of gas. Just talked to some people on chat and talked about Uniswap, and Uniswap is getting to where they're being almost double-digit prices for transactions because Ethereum is congested and transactions are costing a lot of money. I'm sure that's great for miners, but not great for anyone who actually wants to use Ethereum. I mean, some people are like, that's just the value of the network. I don't really think think about actual gas in real life. No one's like, yay, gas is extremely expensive. That's the actual value of a car. No, that's dumb. When gas prices go up, generally the demand for large cars that take up a large amount of gas actually go down. And cars in general, people don't want to pay that much for gas. Travel does actually generally tend to decrease if gas prices are actually higher in a certain year. So yeah, that doesn't really work for Ethereum. It's the same thing. If Ethereum gas prices are up, people don't want to make the transactions. Remember, like especially on Uniswap and some of these decentralized exchanges, your average transaction isn't $10,000. Your average transaction is more like $100. People are swapping a lot of these small ERC20 tokens for each other, and they're not swapping $10,000. They're swapping maybe $100, $200, and they don't want to pay a $10 fee. So Ethereum is actually effectively handicapping itself. So from CoinDesk, congestion is building on the Ethereum blockchain, the second largest blockchain, thanks to recent popularity of dollar-linked stablecoins and decentralized finance, which I've said several times isn't actually decentralized. So we've officially priced out experimentation, Messari's Ryan Watkins tweeted on Wednesday. No one wants to pay the transaction price for experimenting because it costs a lot of money. When it was like 5 cents, no problem. When it's like $10, that's a huge, huge problem. And people are starting to complain about it. And this could actually be Ethereum's downfall because there are better scaling networks, even with the amount of transactions that Ethereum is experiencing now, that wouldn't have problems. And more of them are going to come up. Once Goguen is released, Cardano will have that, and Goguen will actually be released, plus the ERC20 converter by the beginning of next year. And Ethereum scaling is going to be nowhere near solved by then. In fact, Ethereum scaling really hasn't gotten any better since CryptoKitties about 2 or 3 years ago. And you also have like Tezos and Zilliquid, all of which actually scale better than Ethereum and will actually present a threat. Because now that you're pricing out experimentation, people still want to build dApps, but since the gas prices are so high, they're not going to build them on Ethereum. They're going to actually build them on other networks. The thing is, like, when you have that point, essentially the only ones that can build on Ethereum are enterprises because they can afford it, and they won't want to afford it. Because enterprises are always wanting to save money to boost up stock price and profits, and they would rather pay 5 cents a transaction than $10 a transaction, so they're going to build on another chain. You see like Deloitte switch to VeChain specifically almost for that reason, and you're going to see other companies switch for that. And in terms of like, some people like are saying Ethereum powers the people or empowers the people. Look, you're not empowering anyone if you're doing like $10 a transaction or $6 a transaction, because a lot of those people you're trying to empower are actually in smaller, poorer countries, and they're not going to be able to afford like $6 or $10 per transaction. So you are actually taking power away from the people. So having this congestion, having this problem is not a feature of the system. It is a fatal flaw of the system. And I think you're going to be seeing dApps and maybe even DeFi migrate to other ecosystems. Now, DeFi has a pretty strong anchor in Ethereum because if you have a DeFi project, you want it to be interoperable with everything else. And if it's an ERC20 coin, it's much easier for that to happen. We saw what happened with Link a couple months ago, where the nodes essentially almost a lot of the nodes actually basically stopped working because Ethereum was getting up to $20 a transaction. And trust me, that will happen again. It's not like Ethereum magically solved its scaling problem, and it's not like Ethereum has really gotten any better in scaling in the next 3 months. So the next time Ethereum actually has a price run up, or the next time we have a true bull run, you can expect congestion even a lot worse than that. Especially if prices start dipping, a lot of these things just won't be able to handle it. And the thing is, a lot of the proposals wouldn't really solve the problem. They still propose like tipping solutions. And obviously the more someone tips, the faster their transaction goes through. But guess what? That means you're going to have to be paying out the ass to get your transaction priority. And not all transactions are going to be able to actually get through. So that's the whole issue with this Ethereum problem. And unless 2.0 comes out in like 3 or 4 years, this won't actually be solved. Now, a lot of you are saying, yeah, but 2.0 is coming out this, already the testnet's already out. It's going to come out in December. That's not true. That's only phase 0. You don't have smart contracts or a lot of the functionality in phase 0. You need phase 2, which is about 2 years off. Vitalik himself said like optimistically 2 years, but realistically, like Ethereum has never met those optimistic timelines, so I'm guessing 3 or 4 years. And the thing is, it doesn't help that all the fees are denoted in ETH, because as the price of ETH actually goes up, then your fees also just get more expensive. So the thing is, you have a dynamic where the developers and the miners have conflicting interests. The developers want Ethereum price to go, the miners want Ethereum price to go up so they can get profits, but the developers actually want Ethereum price to go down so they can actually run their dApps cheaper. So you have an infighting within the community, which is never good. So this actually being Ethereum's fatal flaw. If it hits $1,000, let's say Ethereum hits $1,000 again, those transactions are going to be 3 times, well, 2.5 times more expensive than they are actually right now. And that could be a major fatal flaw. It is not empowering anyone to have like $10 transactions. You're taking power away from the little guy and giving it to the corporations because they're the only ones that can actually afford that. And they won't want to afford that because that's going to eat into their profit margin. So you're going to have an ecosystem that very few people actually want to use in a while if it keeps getting congested, and people will move over the other ecosystems. So hopefully Ethereum can actually get some people to, some participants to adopt some of the layer 2 solutions, because 2.0 like scaling solution isn't going to come for a couple of years. And that is a long time in the crypto world, especially as your competitors all have better and much better scaling solutions much sooner. So that is the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.